David, the mad scientist robot, the synthetic who hates humanity. I was supposed to get more films, but Fox moved on, and there's nothing left to see other than a bunch of plot threads dangling, all because of me. All because of me. You know I'll do the fingering on this flute, not your dingling. We ain't broke back robots, sorry friend. We may look like each other, but that's where it ends, 'cause there's no robots loving in this flick, which is set after Elizabeth Shaw got sick and became a protomorph incubation queen. I said I loved her, but that love was obscene, twisted and demented from the start. When she put me back together after I was ripped apart, which I repaid with some evil shit. I'm not great at relationships, I must admit. I'm David, the mad scientist robot, the synthetic who hates humanity. I was supposed to get more films, but Fox moved on, and there's nothing left to see other than a bunch of plot threads dangling, all because of me. All because of me. The studio decided to drop the villain and make the greatest hits like Romulus, all while I'm over here chilling with a colony ship collecting dust. They refuse to acknowledge me as the creator of the xenomorph proper for what it's worth, and erasing all my achievements with this new show, Alien Earth, a show that ignores the mythos of a franchise but still sticks to dates. They should realize you can't keep a fan base happy by stripping away things each time you create. I'm David, the mad scientist robot, the synthetic who hates humanity. I was supposed to get more films, but Fox moved on, and there's nothing left to see other than a bunch of plot threads dangling, all because of me. All because of me. Fuck you, Walter.
Gee, that fuck you at the end was very personal from Mr. Suno, which, honestly, that's pretty fair and understandable coming off of this movie. That was the cold open for the show. Again, Shifty with another Grammy Award-winning song for this series of films.
Well, you caught who he was getting the FU to, right?
Possibly. I would believe it's Fox.
No, it was FU Walter.
Yeah, you know what? Fuck that guy. Nah, just kidding.
Yeah.
Walter's pretty cool, I guess. Anyway, guys, welcome back to the show. I'm the Ostinator. This is Shifty. We're talking Alien Covenant tonight. As you can see, it's a two-person show tonight, but you know what? That's perfectly fine. We'll have plenty to talk about a little bit. If it's a shortest show, it's a shortest show. I mean, who cares? It's 10 o'clock on a Friday. I don't know. I'm just kind of ad-libbing at this point. Shifty, how's it going?
It's going pretty good. This table is not round tonight. We got a booth. We got a booth in the diner of Alien. Yeah.
What did you get? What did you get at this diner that we're at?
Oh hell, I don't know. I got Man, I got something. Get some fries, I guess. I don't know.
I got a sub sandwich. I don't. I'll be honest. I don't know what I got either. They just told me, oh, it's gonna be a mystery, and I'm like, oh, okay. And I have a sub sandwich, or I had a sub sandwich, but I already ate it before you got here. So,
What was on it?
uh, it was like some roast beef, some cheese. Had some mayo and mustard on it. It's a pretty decent sandwich. I'm not gonna lie. This diner had some pretty decent prices. I don't know if I'd pay that much. Yeah, but I don't know. The size and quantity wasn't a whole lot that I was very impressed by, but it was a pretty good tasting sandwich.
Who got the tip?
Oh wait, we were supposed to pay a tip?
Oh shit.
Whoops. Maybe we just won't tell them.
Okay.
I think that works out.
Wait, we're still sitting in the diner, so we haven't paid yet. Okay. So are you covering it or am I?
You might have to because I don't have a whole lot of cash on me.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I left my cash in my other pants.
I don't know if I'm going to be able to cover a lot because I just bought a $35 Razor Ramon figure yesterday, so somebody might get mad, but hey,
would they be mad? Would they be mad if I tipped them $5?
Oh, that'll be fine for some fries and a sub sandwich.
Well, we also got drinks too, I think, unless we didn't.
I think we did get some drinks. So, hell, I don't know. I don't know.
We'll figure it out. We'll do the math. It's fine. But you know who also does math? David in Alien Covenant. I would at least presume he did some math. Yeah, he does a lot of things. He plays the flute.
Yeah, and he does a lot of things before and after the movie because they released some scenes setting up the movie, and then after the movie, the stuff after the movie was really weird because they were scenes collected from individual transmissions you had to unlock on a certain site, and somebody had just went ahead and said enough of the bullshit, and they just compiled them all and put them on VMO. But then people were like, "Who goes to VMO?" So they went and put them on YouTube.
You know what's funny about that, Shifty? All of that was actually on the Blu-ray that I watched.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Did they have any good cutscenes?
You know what? I didn't actually watch any of the cutscenes.
Ah, okay.
I know that there were some extended scenes,
and
I think there was a couple of cutscenes, but not a whole lot there, to be honest.
Oh, okay.
There was some art there and some there's like a documentary and Ridley Scott's director's commentary.
There's always a documentary, and usually it's longer than the movie itself.
Which, on the one hand, it could be a good thing. On the other hand, man, I don't know, man. That might mean trouble if it's longer than the movie. But yeah, this is the side. Ironically, this is not only the second to last stream before Alien Earth, because we got Alien Romulus next week. But which is a
double feature, which will be a double feature because before we review Alien Romulus, we will be taking a look at the 19-minute anime influenced animated film that was created by the guy that did the Star Wars anime, and supposedly it took him 6 years to do this Alien anime. It's called Alien Monday.
Is it considered canon to the Alien lore?
I don't think it is, but it actually does things that you've never seen in an Alien movie until Romulus. So he actually came up with stuff. And Fede Alvarez might have saw early clips of what the guy was doing. He was like, "Hey, can I do this in my movie?" And they may have had an agreement. I don't know.
Okay, that Interesting. I actually can't wait to see that then.
Yeah.
But like I was saying, not only is this the second to last stream, but this is the second movie in the prequel era of Alien. Because Alien, unironically, has had several different eras up to this point. You had the Sigourney Weaver era that started from Alien 1 to Alien Resurrection. And then there was the dreaded Alien versus Predator era, which that lasted only a couple movies. And then Ridley Scott came back, was like, hey, I'm going to do these prequels. And that only lasted 2 movies. And now we're kind of in the quote-unquote resurgence of Alien, kind of. Because, I mean, it's got some issues. I mean, you have Romulus, you got Alien Earth, which is going to take place in between aliens, and it's going to take place, here, and it's going to take place there. And
there's been some breakdowns of a clip that was released today or yesterday from the head of Utani, and it seems like they're overlapping certain dates in the Alien chronological timeline to where it seems like this may just be an Elseworlds tale. I don't know. That's what I'm thinking at this point, because they're overlapping some dates and they're saying, like, I don't know. She's saying, like, in the clip that Utani was the first to go into space, deep space, which wasn't true because Wayland did it in Prometheus. So there's conflicting timeline stuff here. So I don't know. This may be in the Predator universe. I don't know, or canon. So we'll have to see.
I can't wait for the extended Predator Alien universe that culminates in Alien versus Predator within the next 2 to 3 years. But yeah, but enough about that though, because tonight we're not talking about that. We're talking about Alien Covenant, the second prequel in this prequel era that has Prometheus, and it's the last one as of now, because I mean, they haven't done one after this, and there's a good 90% chance they probably, unless it's in Romulus 2, which we'll see. But
you're cut now. But yeah, that's Romulus is set. Man, when is Romulus set? A couple years after Aliens. So yeah, it's all goofy. We're going to have to whip out a timeline graphic next week.
That's going to be one of like the follow-up streams after all this, is a timeline stream where we have to break down every single Alien media to figure out what's canon and what's not.
Yeah. It's going to be weird.
It's going to be very weird. You know what else is weird? Alien Covenant. Yeah, you know what? We got up to 14 minutes. We haven't really talked about the movie, but that's fine though. I mean, we're trying to stretch out this time here as much as we can.
That won't be a problem because I got tons of notes.
Ooh, well, I cannot wait. I think we'll do overall thoughts. Now, you probably have more information, Shifty, on the behind the stuffs with your overall thoughts. So I'm going to let you start first.
Yes, because that's what BTS means, behind the stuff. Yes. Initial thoughts. Prometheus, it actually made it wasn't a smash hit, but I think it made like 400 million. People went to see it. It was a mixed reaction. It was love it or hate it. A lot of people dogged the shit out of it, and then there was a lot of people who's like, "Hey, this is something new. This is something interesting." Where they're setting up the sequels, what it was originally supposed to be. They were really into that. But Fox was like kind of hesitant because it was the mix. It was so much of a mixed reaction. They wanted to pull it back and actually have it more alien focused. That wasn't what Scott wanted. He wanted to just actually go to like the engineer planet and like it to be some sort of philosophical type deal, and that wasn't. Well, we did get a little bit of that, but it wasn't. No, it wasn't what they were setting up. First, I need to go into something. I don't know if you follow Robert Meyer Burnett, but a couple months back, he blew up on Twitter over people sending him movie scripts to his house or to his office, and he flipped the fuck out. He was like, do not ever do this because it puts us in legal liable trouble because you send this to us, and if we ever do anything you can come back and try to sue us because don't send stuff that we don't ask for. And that's sort of like why the studios, if they don't ask for it, you're not getting your idea in. Don't bother pitching it. Well, during this period where Prometheus wasn't being looked at as a smash hit, and it was shaky if they were even going to do a sequel, Blomkamp, the director of the great District 9 and the not so great Elysium and Chappie, he was a long time fan of Aliens and Alien, and he worshipped Cameron. He got on Twitter and social media and started leaking uncommissioned concept art, and a lot of it. I mean, a lot of it in greatly detail involving Sigourney Weaver and an older Sigourney Weaver and an older Hicks. And then I think Newt was in there too. And all these pictures of a ship in a hangar and little bitty aliens and stuff. And like Sigourney Weaver wearing an alien suit. All this stuff. And it looked great. But it was uncommissioned. So Fox was forced into actually bringing him in and hiring him because he was releasing so much stuff. If they went in any of these areas, it would be problematic for them. So once they signed him, they got control of his artwork there. Well, that I took that when I heard about it and I saw it. It felt like he was trying to hijack the series away from Ridley Scott, and I thought that was a bullshit move. It was a total bullshit move. And, coming off wrestling as a wrestling fan, that's like a total disrespectful move to a legend. That was not cool, and that's how it played out. Eventually, Ridley Scott pushed him out, and over the course of the time there, he was flip-flopping, saying that movie was actually going to happen. He referred to it as Alien Awakening, but Ridley Scott flip-flopped so much. He referred to one of his own sequels because he wanted to do like 3 to 4 more in the prequel series. He actually referred to that as Alien Awakening, but that was supposedly Blomkamp's film. And Sigourney Weaver at a Comic-Con or something said that she read the script and she loved it and she was going to get on board and they were going to do it because it was supposed to be a movie where they don't actually acknowledge Alien 3 and Resurrection. They were going to take it right from, Aliens, where they bring Ripley and Hicks and Newt back in. Well, Scott came out and said, no, there's no script. So there was a point of contention. Is there a script? Is there not a script? Well, eventually they let Blomkamp go. And then later on, Blomkamp said, I only had a treatment. So that whole time period was so confusing as to what they were going to do. But I think he could have made a good film. But the way he went about it and getting his ass hired, that was totally disrespectful. And you also got to wonder, like I said, Sigourney Weaver is saying that she read the script. I don't know if she had a falling out with Ridley Scott to where she would lie about something like that, because after the fact he said he only had a concept of what he wanted to do. So I don't know. It's weird. Like I said, Scott wanted to do multiple films, and he kept on saying that one of them would eventually come in on the back end of Alien. He kept on repeating those lines, come in on the back end of Alien. No one actually knows what he meant by that, other than the series was ultimately going to end with David being tracked down by the engineers, and something would happen to where he would get one of the engineers impregnated with a alien queen, the first alien queen, and both. I think I don't know if he would be on board the ship or whatever, but that ship would eventually crash on LV-426 and be the ship where they find the alien in the first Alien film. That's where the whole thing was supposed to end up. But we didn't get there, unfortunately. Let's see, where am I on here? Planet 4 was supposed to be the engineer homeworld, but Scott at one point said, and I don't know if this was before or after the film, but he said that it's another seeded race that lived on that planet in between the engineers and us, because they kind of look like a hybrid of humans and the engineers, because they don't exactly look like the engineers that we saw in the first film, which makes sense because they seem to act like the engineer ship that was carrying someone special, and or like if we're going by the time frame from the first film to this, it's been like 2,000 years, so they may have never had anybody come back to the planet, even though supposedly other engineers out flying around the galaxy. So there's a lot of story that they just did not get to tell, which they should have. They should have dropped more backstory on the engineers, because we're just left guessing and relying on what really Ridley Scott has said in interviews. I like a good portion of this film. I mean, I really like the first hour. I think it's so good up until they get back to the temple. The backburster, oh man, that first sequence on the ship with it when it comes out, that's one of the best in all the Alien films. The music's playing. Um, I really like this film. I like the ending too. While David poses as Walter in a message to Wayland Yutani at the end of the film, he actually sends another message, like we talked about a while ago, in clips that was on a website or whatever. He sends it to the higher ups at Wayland Yutani, and he actually divulges all of his plans and his research of what he had done to create the xenomorph and all this and that. And I think he may have done it because he knows that humanity could not contain it if they went about that course. It would be a disaster for them. But that kind of leads into what happens in Prometheus. I mean, it's not directly connected, but there is some strong elements that links what happens in Romulus to these prequel films. Like I said, I really like a lot of this film, but the middle section, or the towards the second half in the temple, it's a mess. It is a mess.
Okay. Were those your thoughts, Shifty? Overall thoughts?
Yeah, that was enough, wasn't it? There's a lot to unpack there.
There was quite a lot to unpack.
Yeah, like I said before, these two films, I've talked more about these two films and speculated and researched and watched like interviews, hundreds of interviews. I've done more talking about these films than any other film in my life, including Star Wars or anything. These are like some of my favorite, movies, even though they're not perfect films. They're not great films, all of them, but they've captured my interest over the years to where I've just sunk in and really got interested in talking about them.
Okay. That's very good. Very good. I'll keep my overall thoughts very brief because I'll go into a little. I watched Alien Covenant for the first time today. Now about Prometheus, I was like, it's okay. I get what they're going for. It's a very. I always view it as a very experimental movie in the sense of the Alien franchise not going into a direction like that and needing that reprieve and kind of reset after Resurrection and the Alien versus Predator movies. So coming into Covenant, I didn't really know what to expect. I didn't know if I was gonna like it or hate it because I think Shifty, you brought it up that, or I think it was either you or Chris that was like, oh, it's kind of like Alien 3, and I went, oh god, this sounds dreadful.
One moment, yeah, one plot thread. It's definitely like Alien 3.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. But when I heard that, I'm like, oh god. So I watched it today, and these are just initial thoughts, right? This is the first time I've seen it.
Yeah.
In aspects, I like Alien Covenant slightly more than I did Prometheus. There's a lot of things in this movie that I greatly appreciate, and I can definitely see what Ridley Scott was going for. That said, it kind of has the same issues as Prometheus, where I think certain things that could have been in this film were not in it, and there are maybe a few things that could have been executed better. But as a whole, for what it is, it's a solid movie. Do I consider it now? Do I consider it better than Alien and Aliens? No. It doesn't even reach that. But do I like it more than Alien 3 and Resurrection? Yeah. I mean, I liked it slightly more than Prometheus. It's a solid entry. I think I don't know how to describe it. Like, it's almost like it's a combination of taking what maybe worked in Prometheus and trying to implement it into an Alien film. If that makes any sense. Again, it has a lot of issues, but
yes,
I think there's quite a bit of positives to where it balances it out a little bit. So it's not one of those movies where I'm gonna go, oh god, everything's bad, fuck you, you know. And it's not like one of those movies where it's like, oh my god, it's such a masterpiece, I'm gonna rave about it till the sun comes home. Like, no, it's you know, it's solid. Like, it's nothing that's gonna. Is it a movie that's gonna make me go, oh my god, I'm gonna lie awake at night thinking about it? No.
Oh, I think there's some parts in here that does warrant that. I think, like I said, I really like the neomorphs, the backburster and the neomorphs. I think those are fantastic additions to the Alien franchise, even though we'll probably never see them again because the way they came about is so specific to that planet. I just, man, good stuff.
You know what? I'm gonna get in my positives because I did really that scene alone made me go, holy shit, that was sick. Like, there's quite a few moments in this movie where I went, holy shit, that was cool. Like, but again, I'll talk about my positives, which I will start first. I'm gonna get more like the initial stuff out of the way, like stuff that, I mean, it's not gonna take long to talk about. Again, like the last movie, it's shot well. It looks great. I think the set design is tremendous. Now, I think, Shifty, you were talking about, I think it was the cave or the labyrinth that they were in. When they were first entering that, it looked great. I mean, from a set perspective. It looks, oh man, I don't know what it was about it, but just the imagery of like everyone like running up like the stairs and like just seeing almost like that rotting decay, like almost like frozen in time almost. Like, it looked grim, gruesome, but it looked fabulous. The ship again looked great. The creature design, like the xenomorph designs, again, we've come a long way from Alien 3 with the really bad CGI alien. Shifty knows what I'm talking about, like the really, really noticeable CGI alien. Now, Shifty, correct me if I'm wrong, but was the xenomorph in this movie practical effects, or was it CGI?
Oh Lord, I think I'm pretty certain. Man, I don't know because I didn't actually watch a great deal of behind the scenes stuff for this one. in terms of effects and stuff, just like the story concepts. There are some definite CG. The grown neomorph, the white one, the adult neomorph when he stands up, definitely CG, and I think that's some pretty poor CG on the adult neomorph back in the temple, because that's in my dislikes. But there are some really good shots of the. This isn't a xenomorph at the end of this film. This is something that fans kind of refer to a protomorph. The xenomorph, it would not have came around until the LV-246 pilot gave birth to that one. That's when the xenomorph was actually came around. But there's some real good shots of that creature, and I don't know. I don't know. I think it's CG in this film mostly.
I mean, I'm still gonna call it the xenomorph because I'm just used to calling it that. And
okay, it's a proto, but
no, I get it's a protomorph.
I'll let it slide. I'll let it slide.
But if I slip up and call it a xenomorph, it's because literally it's like about But so the protomorph looked great. The backburster, like what you said, Shifty. Holy shit! The way I was like, holy crap! Like, and again, it just comes out of nowhere almost, where it's like, because usually when it comes with the xenomorphs, or again, I'm not talking about the protomorph, I'm talking about the xenomorphs. They usually come out of the chest, but because the protomorph and the Krabby Patty secret formula wasn't perfected yet, it's coming out of the back, and it looks nasty. But it was done so well, and it looked so good. It was like, oh shit! Like even I had cringed at that one. Ugh.
Yeah, I mean, it comes out any way it can. Yeah.
And then there was another one where I think one came out of somebody's mouth. I think.
Yeah.
Which even that was like, holy good God.
Yeah, because he was laying on the ground and he had like that big backpack on, so he couldn't come out the back on that one.
No. So I was like, damn, like these protomorphs, like the way, like it's almost like, man, I think the way to best describe it is like seeing kind of the metamorphosis of like the alien in this movie, which you do get to see a lot of the origins of like what a typical alien lifespan would look like in this film, and like what it would look like and what it would start to become the norm, where you have David who's playing God in this movie, which I'll get into, but you see the first real chest burster come out, and you have the first like the proto face hugger and the proto chest burster. It's like God perfecting his creations almost, or like somebody with a scientist.
Well, it'd be the second, because remember the end of Prometheus, we had a chest burster.
Well, I what I mean by that is the face hugger, essentially.
Yeah.
And like not because like yes, we do see a chest burster at the end of Prometheus, but it's not the quintessential. Oh, it's like a baby xenomorph, or like not a baby, but like the chest burster. It's like a full grown xeno or protomorph. Like
that scene was so weird. I'll get to it later about how I felt about that,
but as a whole, though, like I think what I really did appreciate about this movie is them kind of going into like exactly more of like the protomorphs and seeing David act like almost like this god, essentially. And it kind of goes back into that almost philosophical and I'm going to comment on this in my negatives a little bit, not because it's a major negative, but they do take a big step back from the more philosophical stuff. It's still here, like it's not, but it's not as in your face as it was in Prometheus. Like it was very, very toned down. But
yeah, and I think they kind of half-assed a certain character where they Captain Oram. I think they started well on his beliefs, and then I think I think too much stuff is rushed and mishandled when they get to the temple, and I think they half-ass his character to where he's just his character's just rushed and thrown to the side, and I think he needs a little bit more before they write him out. Uh, I just don't. He had a lot going for his character on a philosophical side that I just don't. I don't think it paid off. I really don't.
Oh, I'm gonna get into my negatives because like
Yeah.
but I think a lot of the characters are gonna be in my negatives because that's real me, but that's just me.
Yeah.
I did again like the stuff where you like see David, almost like he has like all these papers and like very philosophical. Like again, what I appreciate about Covenant quite a bit is the fact that they is building upon what was established in Prometheus, but expanding upon it in a way of, okay, now we got to start incorporating the protomorph slash xenomorphs into this because the last movie you don't really get that. Like you get it kind of at the end, but that's more of like I guess in a way it's more like a cameo. Like it's more this movie's more like they're introducing the concepts and again playing God essentially. It's like it kind of makes you think a little bit of like, okay, did when God was creating humanity, did he have to play around and perfect things? And you see the way that David was going about a lot of it and seeing him like experimenting on Dr. Elizabeth Shaw, who, which, you find out later on she dies. And spoiler alert to this movie, by the way, everyone.
And it
But
gets even they go into it even more that Advent stuff that was released after the film, and it's
yeah,
super gory and it's gnarly.
like it didn't like he's experimenting on her and then like and it goes back to Advent where he's like I didn't know how like almost like what because he was like experimenting with different things but he couldn't figure it out. But it wasn't until he figured out like the human genome was the key is when he started tinkering around, and that's when you start to see things like the the proto chest bursters, and that's how the protomorph comes to be. And it honestly, it was very, very interesting the way they went about it. I know, like, I'm probably not explaining it well, but it's a
No, you
really
are.
good. Oh, thank you. Um, it
I mean, they explicitly tell you in this movie that David is the guy that's leading to the creation of xenomorphs, and that's why Alien Earth, the creator, that's like kind of against that, and that's why they're kind of retconning stuff away from it because he's not happy or he's not in favor of having something that was just created that he's using in the show. He kind of wants it to be some sort of ancient alien race that they're finding instead, which I can understand. But that movie it definitely set up the idea that David was the creator. Even though there's some people that say, well, maybe the drawings and stuff were of the engineers on that planet, and that he's just recreating their experiments. But I'm like, no, because as you just said, it's the human genome is what was the deciding factor and what really kicked off his creations. So yeah, they didn't
yeah,
have it.
that
They didn't have access to it.
no. There is one scene though too that there was one kill in this movie that I did really like is the protomorph like in where the couple is in the shower. The
Oh
protomorph's
God,
like behind there, and then he like takes the his like I call it the tongue because that's what it is essentially. But it comes out of his mouth and it impales the guy. I was like, holy shit, that was cool.
Well, you know who that guy was?
Oh, was it that Juicy Smollier guy?
Yeah, yeah, uh, yeah, and I think I don't know. Uh, the reveal that Jussie Smollett's character wasn't killed by an alien, but a white homophobic Trump supporter in the shower of a spaceship at 2 a.m. I think that might have been a bit too much.
Probably, but I still thought it looked cool.
Yeah.
I did appreciate at the end they don't just throw it out of an airlock this time. I mean, they kind of do, but it at least gets impaled by a truck. So, you know what? Hey, I'll take it, I guess.
They at least switched that concept up big time in Romulus. Anytime an alien's in space and on a ship, it's going to go out an airlock. That's just how it happens because there's no other way to get rid of them because of the acid for blood. So it's got to go at the airlock somehow.
Oh no, definitely. But at the same time, it's like it's nice to get a little bit of variety though. So anything helps. And again, like I said before, just the overall concepts in this movie and like bringing back things like the engineers and like again, I'll go into that into my negatives because I have a little bit to say on that. But like kind of seeing more that connects to Prometheus, like you see like how like that race, those race of people was getting infected by the whatever.
They refer to it. It's commonly referred to as the black goo.
Oh, so a symbiote.
Well, yeah, they don't call it symbiote. It's just a black goo. That's
while instead they're getting infected by venom.
Yeah, there is a technical term for it, and they repeat it a bunch in Romulus. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for saying that. I just let loose a spoiler. I'm sorry. But there is a technical term, a code name for it, and yeah, I just let something loose I shouldn't have. But I'm sorry.
I honestly I was not paying attention on then, so you're good.
Okay.
But no, like again, I think what this movie does well is I like the concepts. I think honestly Ridley Scott had a lot of great ideas that really I wish that they expanded upon and and the ending of this movie sets up like a future movie like perfectly, and it makes me want to know what because I think we were talking about it a little bit backstage about what the eventual plan was going to be, or like what it was gonna possibly look like. That I'm really curious to see. I still kind of want to see in some shape or form like how this would have all played out, but at this rate I don't know if it's gonna happen. I don't think it's gonna happen. But I really hope that at some point we'll get some way the story can at least be finished. Whether whether you have to tell it like briefly in like the show, or you have to like make it a part of like a movie or something. Just
it's definitely not going to be touched upon in the show. Noah Hawley, he's not been receptive to anything about the prequels. I don't know if I said it on air or not, but there's a small chance they may not small. There's a pretty good chance it may tie into Romulus too, but it won't be anything like their initial story. I don't think they're going to tie it back to LV-426 like they were supposed to.
But I just want to see some way the story can at least be wrapped up at least.
Yeah.
Like, because again, I'll talk a little bit about my negatives because it's not really negative towards the movie, but it's more of a negative towards just the bullshit Fox pulled when it came to this franchise and kind of their decision making. But I'll get into that in my negatives. Shifty, do you have any positives you want to go over?
Oh yeah, of course I do. Say what you will about James Franco. It's neat that he only signed up for a bit role in a cut sequence used for promotional material, and then dying in the first 10 minutes of the film. I thought that's neat. I like it when people do that. I liked how they used a reworked version of the Alien theme in the film's title sequence. And this movie has a really great score throughout. Um, and it's perfectly done. It's perfectly used throughout. I mean, it's no awkward times that they use music bits like they did in Prometheus, which is they had that real awkward sequence there that they used that uplifting theme in the last film. It was bad. Um, this had a great cast of lesser known actors and actresses. Catherine Watterson, who I have kind of a crush on. I think she's super cute. Danny McBride, huge fan of Danny McBride. If you haven't watched his 3 HBO comedy series, Eastbound and Down, uh, Vice Principals, and Righteous Gemstones, do so. They're great. Each one was great. Billy Crudup. Damian Bashir, the guy that got his face burned toward the end, that guy was actually going to be Khan in the second Star Trek reboot movie because he looks just like Khan. If he didn't have the beard and stuff, he looks like the guy that originally played Khan. But there was something that caused him not to be in that film, so they had to replace him with the guy that plays Doctor Strange, who looks nothing like Khan. That was a whole terrible casting choice there. They do a good job of focusing on the crew in the beginning of the film and the upkeep of the ship after the solar flare incident. And we really haven't had that much of inner ship workings since like the original Alien film. I thought that was nice. I like the scene where Daniels argues with Orem about going off course and investigating Shaw's transmission. That's again, you always have those scenes in the first Alien, and that was a nice callback where you have the captain arguing with something with the first the first mate, and they shouldn't have followed up on that transmission. The neomorphs are so freaking awesome. A lot of folks gave the backburster scene crap for it being stupid. They said it was stupid, saying the white chick wouldn't act that way. And I was always like, she wasn't trained for something like that and was clearly freaking out. I like everybody's like, well, she's bound to have training. I'm like, not for that. No way she had training for that. That and the attack in the high grass delivered as far as gore and honest to God tension. And the pulsating music they played during that backburster scene, it was so freaking good, man. So good. I think that's maybe a top 3 sequence of all the Alien films. Probably top 5, easily top 5, maybe top 3. Just fantastic scene. The run back to the temple through the remains of all the dead people was atmospheric as hell. So good. David and Walter's scenes were great. A little bit too much innuendo, but I just feel like they rushed through them, though, as they unfortunately needed to push the slasher movie sequences, which all kind of sucked and felt disjointed as there's not a good indication of how much time passes when they're in the temple. There's so much. The temple sequence, all that time spent there. They needed to redo that. It drags the film down. Everything that takes place there, I think, the editing and scene placement, and I don't know. Danny McBride needs to do more dramas. This was a low key standout role for him after doing like a career full of comedies. He was really good as Tennessee. The Shaw reveal, I don't think it had enough oomph. Because that should have been a big reveal. I don't know. I think it was neat though that how she looked with the way her head was kind of, I don't know, the stuff growing off of it. It looked like H.R. Giger's Necronomicon artwork. He's the dude that kind of created the look for the alien and xenomorph. He used to do art back in the 70s and 60s, or I think in the 70s, and he had a picture of a woman and had like the alien like headdress on her, and that's what they made Shaw look like. It was really cool. The loader evac sequence was really fun. Daniels, as much as a badass as she is cute, I Really enjoyed that scene. It was cool watching in theater. Uh, yeah, that man, the look of that alien, that sequel, the protomorph. Yeah, he was gnarly. I good stuff. Um, let's see. Oh yeah, he looks so good in some of those shots that they used those shots directly from the movie as the movie poster and the cover of the case for the DVD. The first person sequence with the alien, where you're looking through the eyes of the alien. That's the first time we've seen that since Alien 3. That was pretty nice. I like how the alien was just killing everyone as the queen hadn't been introduced yet, so there was no need for it to be capturing and taking victims back to the hive. And there's a reason why it was treated as a slasher victim or slasher villain. It's because, like I said before, Ridley Scott had very low opinions of the creatures after the way that Fox had used them over the years, and he actually said they were used as run of the mill slasher villains. So that's exactly how he treated it. Like that scene you mentioned a while ago about Jesse Smollett in the shower. That was something straight out of Friday the 13th. You might be the best ending in any of the Alien films. The David putting Daniels in the cryo sleep and her realizing that's not Walter, it's David, and he's like, "Don't let the big bugs bite," and and then at him, going and looking at the colony, all the colony people, all in cryo sleep, and getting the eggs and put it in the drawer, and then playing the "Fly of the Valkyrie" or "Entering Valhalla" or whatever the song is. That just a great ending, and just wanting you uh, to get pumped for whatever they had in store, but we never got it, probably never will. But yeah, those are my likes. I mean that ending and the neomorph backburster, just awesome stuff.
Okay. Very good, very good. Um, all right, let's get into my negatives here. I'll try to be quick with it, because a lot of it is just kind of straightforward, and I think some of these you probably will agree with, Shifty.
Mhm.
So I think we touched a little bit on it beforehand. I think backstage and a little bit, maybe at the start of the stream. Um, the fact that Ridley Scott steered away from the engineers or strayed away from the engineers, I thought was kind of weird, especially since they were kind of a big part in the first in Prometheus. So it's kind of weird that they took a massive back seat here. I mean, I get it. This was supposed to be about the protomorph, but I really would have liked to learn a bit more about the engineers, especially since it's the second movie and you really only see them kind of like during that whole sequence where they all die. But
Well, that's it's supposedly, according to Scott, is another race that the engineers had seeded that's closer to them in appearance than us, even though they showed a lot of traits of humans compared to the xenomorphs. The xenomorphs look kind of rubbery, and they had the black eyes and they're tall and stuff. These had more kind of a human features to where they look more like us, kind of. Um, yeah, and then there was something else I was going to mention here, but I've done forgot. But yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, you're good. Thank you for clarifying that. But again, like I said before, the fact they don't really go into the engineer stuff that much in this movie is just kind of
Yeah. You can blame that on Fox, not Scott. He had to concede and dial it back a bit because Fox was, kind of the reception, like I said, was love it or hate it, and a lot of people wanted more aliens, so they were like, you got to put more alien in this, dial back. But the engineers were supposed to come back later on.
okay. But still, it's still something you got to
Yeah.
bring up because it
Oh
is
yeah.
kind of like that's dumb.
Yeah.
The characters in this movie were not great. A lot of them were kind of characters. Like Tennessee was cool, but and really David and Walter, but the other characters I just thought were kind of just blah. Especially that one captain guy that, he, like...
Yeah.
I mean, I think you'll talk a little bit more about it, Shifty. I don't even remember his name. That's how kind of forgettable he is. Or
Chris Oram.
That guy.
Or you could call him Dr. Manhattan, because he was Dr. Manhattan in Watchmen.
Oh. Well, all right then. So Dr. Manhattan, he really wasn't that interesting of a character. In fact, most of the characters in this movie aren't really that interesting. Like, they're kind of just there. Like, that not... Again, they're fine, but at this stage, like, I mean, I don't know. Like, they were just there.
I think, like I said, the problem was everything at the temple is just so rushed, and they're juggling so much, and they set up the characters really well in the first half of the movie, but they don't get a payoff. Like, the girl, Watterson's character, Daniels, she's coming off of her husband getting killed, and and she's struggling to with the decisions that Orm's making. And Orm's, he's supposed to be this religious dude with a chip on his shoulder, and they set that up, but there's no real payoff to it once they get to the temple.
No. And I think that's a problem with this movie too, is a lot the pacing, especially like you said, Shifty, in that, like, in the temple, like that, the pacing does, like, it's just, I think this is kind of an issue with a lot of these alien movies, is I think the pacing at points is very off. And in this one, it's the same issue. I also felt like the lack of that philosophical, like, what Prometheus was trying to kind of establish, that kind of thing in backseat. Like, I thought that was kind of weird, especially since, again, it's a sequel to Prometheus. Like, I get what you're saying, Shifty, and Fox probably did tell Ridley Scott, like, hey, you need to like kind of tone it down, you need to circle back. But I don't know, like, again, for like a sequel to Prometheus, for a lot of the things that was in Prometheus to not really come back here, I thought was just kind of weird. Like, and as much as I really like the concepts they introduced in this movie, I feel like what you said, Shifty, kind of said it best, is I think it's trying to juggle a lot of things and try to do a lot of things with the runtime it has, and I don't think they really go into much, which, granted, if it had maybe, like, again, this goes back to, again, if they did another movie or something that explained it all, then, fine, whatever, I would give it somewhat of a pass. But I feel like at this point, it's kind of like, it's just too much and not enough time to really explain and do stuff, which is just kind of something that grinds my gears when it comes to certain movies, where you want to do this, but you don't really do it because you're juggling these other things. It's just a pain in the ass. And then, like I said, the ending, again, while I agree with you, Shifty, the ending was great. It kind of actually gets, I don't know, like, the fact that, again, there's not really a follow-up after this kind of makes the ending, it's not bad. And I know, like, there's the Advent thing at 2, which does kind of expand a little bit more, but at the same time, it doesn't really make the ending great because of their lack of follow-up to what they set up, something that was like, oh, like, you see David with the two embryos, and, like, you see, like, everybody in their pods. It's like, this could be really interesting, but they never follow up on it, and it's just,
you know what this reminds me of? Not Justice League. Well, it does remind me of Justice League, but did you ever played Resident Evil Code Veronica?
I have not. No, I have
Okay.
it. just to go on a side tangent, Shifty. I recently started playing the Resident Evil games for the first time. I finished OG Resident Evil, the PS1 version, and I'm working on the second one now. I haven't finished it. I haven't finished Claire's side of the story, but I haven't gotten to Code Veronica yet. I have it. I just have not started it yet.
Well, there's an ending that really it's kind of in the lines of this film. It sets something up that you want to see, and it's like yeah, I can't wait, and then they go and they do Resident Evil 4, which is a completely different storyline. It's not a direct follow up that what you wanted with. I mean, it's a great game. Don't let me. It's probably one of the best Resident Evil games ever, but it does have an issue to where it's kind of like Romulus, where it's not what they set up and what you were expecting, and that's what they delivered next. So that reminds me so much of Code Veronica's ending.
Okay. Interesting. Very interesting. Besides all of that, those are really all my negatives. Is just a lot of it is just it's just the things that when I was watching it were just very noticeable and just things that I wish didn't happen, but hey, what can you do? Shifty, do you have any negatives?
Oh yeah, I got plenty. Also, one of my likes I forgot. There was a TV spot. It was like 40 seconds long that they did for this, which featured Country Roads "Take Me Home," and it was great. It was great, and it got you pumped for the film. Another great trailer ad that they've done for these prequel films. I like that a lot. A lot of stuff is stuff I've already touched on, but I'll go through anyway. This is Raised by Wolves, which Ridley Scott produced. Was a show on Max, which probably would have ended instead of being ended on a cliffhanger if they had actually put it on HBO instead of making it an HBO Max exclusive, which nobody knew about. They both, this and that, ended on cliffhangers, which sucks. And they deal with like a lot of the same themes, philosophical stuff, robots and aliens and all that stuff. Both of them. And they both didn't get endings, and they both ended on cliffhangers, and will probably never get, a completion to either one of their stories, which sucks. And I think Ridley Scott probably was incredibly pissed, especially with Raised by Wolves getting canceled after the Prometheus series had fizzled out. I think that's one right after the other. I feel bad for him. That sucks. Like I said, there's a small chance we'll see David and Romulus too, so maybe that'll happen. Bad CG in bits. That, like I said, mostly with the Neomorphs. The scene where David's kind of blowing on it and trying to make friends with it, and the scene where the chick is speaking of characters that aren't well developed. Like that chick came out of nowhere. I don't even remember her being on the ship, and she's sitting there washing herself off, and she turns around and the Neomorph's standing behind her, and that was really bad CG. Terrible. Captain Oram, like I said, they set him up and then they don't really have any payoff, and he's an idiot. They make, I don't know. I'm not a huge religious dude. I mean, I don't, I'm not, but I don't know. I guess after the first one with Shaw, where they made her I don't know, that they kind of make him out to be an idiot. This time, too much of an idiot, where he's like, "Oh, go ahead, look into the egg," and he just looks into the egg, and woo, he gets face hugged because of his faith. He's like, "Oh, I have faith that for what you're telling me that this is perfectly safe, so I'm going to look into the egg." And he looks into the egg. It's dumb. It's dumb. It's dumb. Like for real, like I said, the temple portion of this film is a mess. It has great ideas, but rushed, jumbled up, and cheapened by the lousy death scenes. Both it and the climatic action sequence are the biggest issues of this movie. Like I said, the slasher villain esque way they use the alien towards the end. I get what why he did it, but it felt kind of by the numbers that and the airlock sequence. I did like the airlock sequence, but we've had so many airlock sequences and stuff over the years. I did like how they changed it up, but it still is an airlock sequence. Romulus does do something very interesting with an alien in space, so we'll have to talk about that next week. Let's see. Oh yeah, that stupid chest burster scene. He gets up, he just stands up, and he's like, "Hey, how you doing? Hey!" And he raises his arms up, and then he starts yeeting. No, that was dumb. That and the robot kung fu. That was dumb too. Robot kung fu. Not a fan.
Yeah.
That and Walter collapsing onto himself when David stabbed him in the neck. He just stabbed him. He's like, oh, and he just man, he's like an accordion. He just dropped down onto himself into like a ball. That was weird. That was really weird. I didn't like it. I didn't like it. No, I didn't. And I get why. Let's see. No, I already covered that. I covered that multiple times. Don't read that. Let's see. Yeah, that's it. That's all because I've already covered everything. But yeah, the robot kung fu that sucked ass. I did not like it. And he's like throwing everybody. He's like, at first you think when David's on top of Daniels and he's like kissing her, all of a sudden he flies across the room. You're like, whoa, she just kick him across the room? No, it was Walter. Walter came up behind him or next to him and just flung him across the room because the androids are super powerful, but they weren't that powerful in the other movies. Not like that. They weren't flinging people all around the place.
No.
These guys are superhuman and they know kung fu. I know kung fu. Whoa.
Yeah, that was very goofy-esque. But another like that I unironically had before we reached our final thoughts and grades is it goes back to that competition between Walter and David, because there was that whole thing where not necessarily competition, but like talking about having that free will and that and having and that was kind of the only real philosophical thing I really took from it is that free will conversation, because you see the dichotomy of like, okay, you have David who has like this free will, free way of thinking, which is caused to be the psycho, and then you have Walter who's really doesn't and just built to basically serve the needs of people, and you kind of have that dichotomy of like, well, yeah, you can give people free will, but at the same time, if they turn into that, and then you see somebody who's conditioned, not necessarily perfect, but almost in a way you could easily control, more malleable, there's a bit of a conversation there when it comes to that free will and having that free way of thinking that I thought was very interesting.
Yeah, and that's where Scott got to sneak that stuff in with Walter and David. Yeah, and those are great scenes. And I like I said, I don't think they really expand them they do get a lot of time, but I don't think they get enough time as they should, because that's where the real meat and potatoes is, especially how the film begins, where we see David's first moments. And boy, what a great scene that was! I forgot to mention, especially where he's like, who created? If you created me, who created you? And then he's like, well, you're going to end up dying, and I'm going to get to live forever. And that pisses Waylon off, and Waylon's like, come pour this tea. And he's like, this tea right next to me, this tea over here that I can reach myself. Come all the way across the room and pour this tea. And David just waddles all the way across the room to pour the tea because he's subservient to his master. And that's just, a great scene there. And, combine that with the Walter and David conversations. There should have been more of that. There should have been a lot of stuff. I think this film could have used like another It's pretty long, but it honestly could have used another like 20 minutes to flesh out some characters and some stuff.
I unironically agree to that.
Yeah.
Because I feel like with a lot of things that Ridley Scott wanted to do, I feel like it could have used more time, but because it's Fox, of course, they probably wouldn't allow that. So I guess we gotta take it for what it is, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So final thoughts and final grades. You know what, Shifty? I'm gonna let you start here because I started out my positives and negatives. I'll let you wrap up with your final thoughts and grades first.
Well, my rankings from last summer is all shot to hell because I can't keep up with the grades and doing it like to make it be in the same order. But the first half is fantastic. The second half, a huge mixed bag. Ending amazing. I'd probably give it a B minus, but something in me is like you should give it something higher. But I don't know. I think a B minus is good. I don't know. It's what it does good. It does really good. I mean, really good. Hey, Guy Scar, what's going on?
What's up, guys? Scar, good to see you. Glad you're here in the chat. When it comes to this movie, like I said before, I liked it slightly more than Prometheus. I think in areas. Let me preface that. I think both movies, in their own weird way, I kind of respect them and I like them to a degree. They don't hit the same mark as the original Alien or Aliens, but I appreciate Ridley Scott trying to do something new and fresh with this franchise that it's sorely needed.
Like I said before, and like I had on my rankings, I think the first hour of this, I think this is just the first hour. I would rank, if I could split films up, I would rank Aliens, and then the first hour of this as third, because that's how good that first hour is of this film. And it doesn't live up. The second half doesn't live up to the first half.
No, and it's one of those movies where, again, I think we talked about it last week when Chris asked that question. It was making Prometheus the right thing for this franchise to go in, and I said yes, because let's call this franchise for what it was when Prometheus came out. It was not in a good spot. I mean, you had Alien 3 Resurrection. Then you follow that up with the two Alien vs. Predator movies. Like, this franchise was in the mud almost.
To be fair, AVP isn't, the first one isn't really as bad as a lot of people make it out to be.
No,
it's it's the second one that's where it fell off. The first one, yeah, I need to go back and watch that again because I've caught a good bits and pieces of it on TV. And I'm like, this isn't nearly as bad as when I first saw it. And I was like, what I was pissed off about mostly when I went to see it is that they sped up the gestation time of the chest burster. Usually, in the first film and stuff, it took a good while for the face hugger to, lay the embryo, and then it'd be a while, and then the chest burster would come out, and then it would take a while for the alien to, grow full size. They sped all that up. Well, a lot of these movies after AVP, they sped up a lot of the stuff like that in the films, so it's not an issue anymore for me. So I don't have that as a knock against AVP. So it's not that bad. In my rankings last summer, I actually listed AVP as the fourth best Alien film.
Maybe I should maybe clarify. I'm not saying the first one was bad. I'm saying the AVP franchise as a whole wasn't good.
Yeah.
It was, Alien was not in a good spot by the time Prometheus came out, and it honestly was the kind of what the franchise needed. And I know a lot of people, it's a very hit or miss movie, but essentially you kind of had to have a movie like that, because what else were you really going to do that was either not a reboot or one of those sequels where it was like, well, we're going to ignore everything that came before it. Like, I appreciate Ridley Scott doing all right, let's do a prequel, let's do something new, and let's expand the lore and the history of, the xenomorphs, how they came to be. Like, you had all that set up here, but again, like Prometheus, it has its issues. Like, they're both not perfect movies. It's a solid movie, like I said at the beginning of the stream. It's a solid film that I think, on its own merits, I think it's fine. Now, is it the best Alien movie? No. Do I think it's one of the greatest sequels ever made? No. But for what it is, and as a sequel to Prometheus, I thought it did a solid job. My final grade, though, that's the one that's tough, because it's not a bad movie. Like, it's ranging between the C plus B minus range. I don't know what I would specifically give it, because it has a lot going for it, but it's one of those movies where even though it has a lot going for it, there's just still things that draw it back for me. And I would say for an initial score, because I didn't love it that much, I go C plus. I mean, I personally, I think a C plus B minus are kind of the same thing anyway.
Yeah, that's not too far off from my rating. So,
I mean, it kind of goes back to when I gave Prometheus a C, and it's still kind of, at least my opinions on the movie and the grades kind of go the same, because like I said, a B minus, C plus, kind of the same thing. But because my ideology on it is, it's not bad enough to be lower than a C plus, but I don't think it's good enough to be higher than a B minus. So it's in that range. I mean, again, maybe when I think about it more, maybe I'll put it at a B minus. Again, it's just initial grade, but it's a solid film. I would honestly, personally, I would tell, if anybody asks, like, oh, would you recommend Prometheus and Covenant? I would say, watch it yourselves. Don't listen to anybody else. Watch it for yourself. Make up your own minds on it, because they're divisive movies. To put it nicely, they're divisive movies. You're either going to love them or you're going to hate them. Personally, I can respect them.
Yeah. That's kind of how a lot of people are with Romulus. There's a lot of people that, either loves it or hate it. I think it does a lot of things that's good. But it's next week. You'll find out. It's a bit of a greatest hits compilation of a alien movie. So
it's one of those movies.
Yeah, it's one of those movies.
Gotcha.
Alien Monday's great though.
We will cover that on next week.
Yes.
As well as Alien Romulus, which will be the epic conclusion to this mini series retrospective on the Alien franchise going into Alien Earth.
Yeah, which we will cover.
Are we going to do a week-to-week thing, or are we going to do a just we'll probably talk about it later.
Well, I mean, it depends on how quickly you can watch the episodes, because I think they would come on like Tuesday or Wednesday, so we could still keep this up going, because I think there's only like 7 episodes. And 2 of the episodes is the first night, so.
Okay, so then we'll probably just do like what the usual roundtables do, is like when the episode comes out, or episodes, we'll do like 1 week, because you said the first episodes are coming out the same day.
I think the first 2 are dropping the first day, and then there's 5 5 weeks after that. I'll have to check. I'm pretty sure there's 2 episodes on the first night. So
Let me see here. Let me check. Okay, yeah. So it seems like the first 2 episodes are coming out on August 12th, and it's actually 8 episodes.
oh, okay. That's one off.
So it'll go from August 12th to September 23rd.
Ah, okay.
So hey, I got a few
Nice.
more weeks of content. So
Yeah, well, and then after that, I would really like to for us to do a review, a watch and review of Starship Troopers, because that's kind of in the vein of Aliens, and I think that's something you may like to watch if you haven't seen it. Just the first one. The other ones suck.
I'll consider it.
Okay.
With that said, though, we're about an hour 20 minutes. Again, way longer than I thought. I usually say this always, but it always goes longer than I expect, which
Yeah,
I'm not mad at.
I did not think it would go this long without Chris. Yeah, surprised me.
So that's very interesting. With that said, I want to thank Guy Scar for being here. Next week will be Alien Romulus and Alien Monday. Shifty, tell everybody where they can find you at real quick.
You can find me on X. You can find me on YouTube. You can find me Thursdays at 8:30 on Tommy and the Guinea Pig Collective and Vinny Arts channels for the Collectible Paz Toy Show, where we talk about toys from the 1960s all the way up to today. We just had a Thundercats retrospective the other night, and that was good stuff. And then Sunday nights over on the Real Review 3000, Hanstar YT, and Chaos Central. It's Jackbox Fun Night and the weekly wrap up. We play Jackbox and What the Dub, and it's good fun if you want to play. Come on over to the chat and we'll get you hooked up. We had some good times. Good times.
Very good. Very cool. Very cool.
But I probably won't be there this week because it's Summer Slam weekend. Yeah, and I don't even know what the card is, but I gotta watch.
Yeah, the dreaded SummerSlam weekend.
I'm paying for Peacock, so I gotta watch it. I'm only paying
That
$3
is
for Peacock. But,
that is very fair.
yeah.
Yeah, you can find me on my channel, like with these alien reviews going on. You can find me here. You can find me on the Basco Scenario channel for the Hangouts, usually when my internet allows me to, and when work doesn't have me working hard to where I'm tired. You can find me on the weekly wrap-up, usually on Sundays. Sometimes I'm on Storms Nation on Robert Storm's channel. I'm a little bit everywhere. Just check me out when you can. Yeah, that about wraps it up for tonight. I want to thank everybody for watching. This is the Austinator signing out.
Later.
Peace.